So there really isn't a reason for me to be wearing this other than the fact that I just finished crocheting this and I'm just showing it off because I'm pretty proud of it. I think it came out very cute. I feel like an elf. But I'm not gonna wear it for the whole video because it's kind of warm in here. So I am finally back home. If you are new here, hello, my name is Tanya and I work for the National Park Service. Last year I was a seasonal at the Grand Canyon. What that means is that I had to work there for 6 months. That meant moving from Southern California to the north rim of the Grand Canyon, where I lived in a 300 square foot cabin. As much as I would have loved to take all my plants with me, there's just way too many of them and they would not have fit in my tiny cabin. I barely fit in my tiny cabin. I basically just took my favorite plants with me and the rest I left home to be taken care of by my partner. So I wanted to do an update on what plants survived, what worked, what didn't, and what I would do differently. Surprisingly, there was only 3 plants that didn't make it. My Stramanthe Triostar, my Begonia maculata, and my Philodendron Birkin. Those were the only ones that fully died. I am not surprised that my Triostar and my Begonia didn't make it because they are plants that are known to be difficult to take care of. My Birkin, I think it was just in the wrong spot in the room, but I guess that leads me to the next topic. In my video where I talked about getting my plants ready for my absence, I had talked about purchasing plastic dishes to bottom water all of my plants. My strategy was that I can place all of these containers with all my plants and my partner can just pour in water and bottom water it, let the plants soak up the water for a certain amount of time, and then when that time has passed, he could dump it into a bucket and then just dump it out. In my mind, that seemed faster and more efficient than having to take each plant to the sink, but that very quickly started creating problems. Like I said, my Begonia, my Birkin, and my Triostar got root rot very quickly after starting bottom watering after I left, and I think it was a combination of 2 things. It was the fact that these plants were sitting in water for a really long time, and the fact that I didn't take into account that sunlight moves throughout the year. So if you have plants set in an area that get a lot of sun in the winter, they are not going to get the same amount of light in the summer, which is what happened. I had my Begonia and my Triostar by the door. In the winter, they get direct sunlight, winter light, and during the summer the light starts to shift and they're no longer getting that direct light, so they were being overwatered and not getting enough light, so that led to them getting rot. Same with my Birkin, it was in a spot that just was not getting the same amount of light it was getting in the winter, so it just decided to rot. And with my fern, that was one of the reasons why it got infested with fungus gnats, because it was just constantly wet. So it just created the perfect environment for fungus gnats and had to be kicked out. Once it was kicked out, and the plant's actually thriving, once it was kicked out, it recovered from the fungus gnat problem. So I think just being outside, I don't know, it's more ventilated, so I'm sure that that's helping the fungus gnat issue a lot. Some other plants also started showing signs that they were being overwatered. For example, my Hartley Philodendron started getting water bubbles on the leaves. I think there's a word for it, but I can't remember the word for it. And a lot of the leaves were getting kind of that mushy blister, water blister. So after I saw my Hartley Philodendron doing that, I said, okay, I'm sorry, but no more bottom watering. So once we ditched bottom watering to going to the sink, which yes, did take more time, but that really helped my plants not feel like I was drowning them, or not me, my partner was drowning them every time that they got watered. I think it's important to think about the different types of roots that plants grow, right? In the soil, they're not growing water roots. So for them to be dunked in water for long periods of time, it's gonna cause problems. And my plants are just not used to me bottom watering them. I don't water my plants that way. I like to flush my plants so they're not being saturated by water for a long time. It's just during the period that it's under the sink that has that saturation, so it's not causing like a swamp, I don't know, a bog type environment for my plants. It's just passing through. I think one of the things that helped my plants this year was having a partner that saw how much time and effort I put into my plants. Before I left, I also made a video on how I was preparing my plants, and I showed my Notion page for my plants that included every plant name with a plant picture, so he knows what plants I'm talking about, and an estimated watering schedule. And I kind of talked to him about it and told him, this is an estimated watering schedule. It's not going to be a regimen because plants don't work that way. And I bought one of those readers, moisture readers, and the sticky notes around the home. And I think him seeing that, how much effort and how much I care for my plants, helped him realize that this is something that is very important to me, and that helped him go the extra mile in taking care of my plants, because clearly, we care about each other and we care about each other's interest. So I think that really helped. The year before, when I had to do a different season I think it was also in Grand Canyon, there was a lot of plant death. And that is because I didn't take the time prior to me leaving to create any sort of system or schedule. I just basically said, hey, can you please water my plants? And that was it. So there was no guidance from me to him, or incentive or anything for him to truly know how to care for my plants. And it's another thing to consider is that this is a hobby that's mine. It's not his hobby, so it wasn't fair the first year or the second year for me to just dump this hobby onto him. But I think the second year he just kind of had a better understanding of how I care for my plants and how much they mean to me. So I think that really helped a lot. Another thing that really helped was grow lights. I bought grow lights and I put them on timers and I let them do their thing. If you can see here, there's a grow light that's on, and here I had to turn grow lights off because it was creating a glare, and there's like more grow lights over there. So grow lights really helped because like I said before, the sun changes throughout the seasons, and if you have grow lights, you don't have to worry about that anymore. You don't have to be rearranging your plants to be in line with how the sun is coming in through the window. So that really helped. Once I got grow lights, the root rot I don't get root rot anymore, and my plants do so amazingly well with grow lights. I don't know if you can see my lemon lime. That plant would suffer in this corner right here, and in front of me is a south facing window, and you would kind of think that it would get like good light, but it rotted. I had one in the past that rotted, got grow lights, and it's so bushy and neon and beautiful. If you have a lot of plants, you need grow lights. And lastly, even though I was gone for 6 months, I was able to come home almost every month. So every time that we had a holiday, I came home because I work a 4-day 10 hours, 4-day schedule. So that meant that I had Fridays off, and then when I had Monday off for holidays, that means that I had a 4-day weekend. So I would just come home, and when I came home, I was able to see what was going on with my plants, like who was doing not so great, who was doing great, like what was working, what wasn't. And that's how I was able to rescue more of my plants, because I was able to see, hey, my Monstera is not doing so well, so I decided to just prop it, and now it's doing really well. There's just so many seedlings growing. It looks so cute. I'm actually gonna take time to show it because it looks so cute. Isn't that adorable? Look, they're so little. But yeah, this plant was dying, and because I was able to come home, I was able to chop all the little stem bits and then just propagate it, and it grew new plants, new seedlings that are just so freaking cute. To be honest, I wouldn't do this again. I just don't think it's fair. I did feel kind of guilty, if you don't enjoy this hobby, then it's a chore. Having to take plants to the sink, having to water them, having to keep an eye on them, it's a chore if you don't like it. To me, it's relaxing. I just put on headphones, I listen to a podcast, or I watch YouTube, and I do my plant chores, and it's really relaxing. But if it's not something that you don't enjoy, it's just so much work. So I don't think I would do this to him again. I think if I had to do it in the future, I would probably purchase a shade structure and take all of my plants to the backyard in that shade structure, and then he can just hose them all down at the same time. But luckily I don't have to do that again next year, because I didn't get a seasonal job next year. I actually got a term position. So for the time being, the next 4 years at the least, I'll be in one place, and I can take care of all my plants and buy more plants, and I don't have to throw my hobby onto others. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more planty video, more outdoor adventures, moving vlogs, since I will be moving soon, subscribe and like if you want to, I don't know. And maybe I'll start crocheting more on my videos, because crocheting is fun. But that's all for today, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.